Hey, I think someone got rid of their entire collection of CJ Cheryl. Their entire collection. Seriously. You want to find out what's in here? Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina K-O-S-T-I-N-A. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy smashy stuff going on here. And we've got a boatload to unload today. It's going to take some time. I don't even know. I'm just going to do these out of the box. CJ CHERRYH, Inheritor. 6 months have passed since the reappearance of the Starship Phoenix, 6 months during which the alien Etavev have striven to reconfigure their fledgling space program in a breakneck bid to take their place in the heavens alongside humans. But the return of the Phoenix has added a frighteningly powerful third party to an already volatile situation, polarizing political fractions in both human and Atev societies, making the possibility of an all-out planetary war an ever more likely threat. Let me just move this. Okay. Book 2. CJ CHERRYH, Down Below Station. We should do these on Star Trek. On next Star Trek Fridays. Peli Star occupied the central spot in the coming conflict between Earth's tired stellar empire and the tough onslaught of the rebellious colonies. Whoever controlled Peli's Down Below station held the key to Earth's defensive perimeter, or the jumping-off point for a terrestrial offensive to regain the lost empire. But Pel has always been neutral and was determined to remain so. CJ CHERRYH, The Fated Son, Kuta. Kuta was an ancient world and a dying one. In ages past, its sons and daughters had gone to stars to serve as mercenary as in the War of Aliens. Now the survivors of the Starflung people, the Myriad, come back in the form of a single woman, the last priestess Queen Meline, and a single man, the last warrior, Noon, and one another, the human Sten Duncan, who deserted Earth's military to swear service to foes of his own species. Hestia. After 100 years pioneers, the colony on Hestia has seemed to be nearing its end. Its holdings on that green and fertile planet were still limited to a single river in one valley. Everywhere else, hostile fauna hedged them in. Cloud's Rider. A lethal mountain blizzard leads to a holocaust of madness and murder, but young Ryder Danny Fisher and the alien night horse Cloud must protect a snowbound village beset by fear and greed. For the telepathic predators of the wild, emotions are weapons, delusions can kill, and humans are the most desirable prey. Voyager in Night. 2 voyages, 2 ships, one had been en route for over 100,000 years, was the size of an asteroid, and its place of launching beyond the trace of any man-made telescope. Its crew was in Igniba. The other ship had been out of Endeavour Station just a few months, was a tiny orb prospector with a crew of 3, Rafe, Paul, and Paul's wife Gillian. 2 ships were on collision course, which neither could avoid in time. Ah, heavy time. Paul Decker, a kid with a dream, wakes to a nightmare. His ship is stolen, his future destroyed, his beautiful partner missing, his memory gone. The Aztec mining monopoly mama accuses him of being negligent, crazy, and foolish, as well as cold-blooded murder. And only a renegade miner, Morris Bird, will help Paul learn the truth. Homecoming. When those enigmatic entities called humans sent their first exploration ship into compact space, all the traditional power alliances of the 7 compact races were totally disrupted, and giving shelter to Tully, the only surviving human, Pinefar Shanor and her Hanny crew were pitched into center of galactic maelstrom. key players in a power game they scarcely understood. Now, with space stations destroyed by rival factions unwillingly allied with the most devious and untrustworthy skiff, and forced to doubt their own longtime companions, the Manu Ed set, Panfar and her space-going comrades have become the last desperate hope of an entire race. This box is full. Infinity's End. There's no synopsis on the back of this. There's no award-winning down below station insisting. Gate on Merrill, scattered about the galaxy where the time-space gates have vanished, but not forgotten alien race. In their time, long before the rise of the native civilizations, they had terrorized 100 worlds, not from villainy, but from folly, from tampering with the strands that held the universe together. Rim running runners. In space, the line between patriot and pirate is as thin as a laser, and the lethal battle for power can be near as your starship's deck. We'll do it. We should save a couple of these for Star Trek. Emergency. Ben acting as a representative of the Atch's political leader, Tabajin, as well as his translator between humans and Atev, has undertaken a mission to the human enclave of Mosphere. Both his presence on the island and his absence from the Atev content have catalyzed old enemies to realize new opportunities. Deliverer. In the aftermath of civil war, the war of Atev is perilously unstable. Tangi, powerful ruler of the Western Association, along with his son and heir, and his human Patty, Brent Cameron, have returned to their seat of power. The usurper Murrin has escaped to the lands of his supporters, but the danger these rebels pose is far from over. Isidi, Tabin's grandmother, the Dowager, has returned to her ancient castle in the east. For though she supports the rule of her grandson, she also has powerful ties in the lands of the rebels and seeks to muster whatever support she can from among those enemy strongholds. Serpent's Reach. The constellation of Hydra known as the Serpent was under strict quarantine, harboring an intelligent race, powerful and alien. Yet there were human colonies within the Serpent's Reach, cut off from the galaxy beyond, with their own inbred culture and their own special relationships. Rider at Gate. A forgotten colony lost on a planet of wild beauty and unmanageable danger, a people held together by their renegade band of outcast heroes, called to their destinies by alien dreams. A world of riders and night horses, their minds linked together on the night edge of abyss, for even a single night horse can annihilate the human race. Hellburner. Ben Pollard thinks he's traded the pearls of the belt for security on Earth until he's unhinged to the Orbit Soul battle station. There he's forced to help a man Ben never wanted to see again. This box. Let's see. Okay. Let's just go through these. Alright. CH CHERRYH, The Fated Son, Kiss. This is the story of three people: Stan Duncan, the soldier of humanity, Nun, last warrior of mere humans' enemies, Merlin, priestess queen of the fallen stronghold. This is the story of two almighty species fighting for a galaxy, humanity driving out Earth, and enigmatic rogue struggling to hold their stars together. My problem is I can't pronounce half this stuff. Nearly 2 centuries after the starship Phoenix disappeared in the heavens, leaving an isolated colony of humans on the world of the Netev, it unexpectedly returns to orbit overhead, threatening the stability of Atev and human governments. The Invader. CJ CHERRYH, Brothers of Earth, Hunters of Worlds. The leader of the human was a priestess ruler in the world of humanoid aliens, yet she was closely related to the human prisoner Kurt Morgan through their star nations had been bitter enemies for 2,000 years. She granted Kurt Morgan his life for a price, but he remained indebted to his captors immersed in an alien environment which threatened to drive him mad. Beset with doubts, Kurt accepted the terms of his capture and despite his misgivings became intrigued with his life. Foreigner, a novel of first contact. It's been nearly 5 centuries since the starship Phoenix, lost in space and desperate searching for the nearest G5 star, had encountered the planet Ativ, an alien world. Law was kept by those of registered assassins. Aliens were defined by individual loyalties, not geographical borders. Chaucer's Legacy. 10 years after Pyramid Chanor, captain of the Pride of Chanor, gave shelter to a human, thereby disrupting the complex power balances which existed between the 7 races of the Compact. Pioneer has become the most important personage in the Compact. Hilly Chanor, once a member of the famous Ants crew, is now captain of her own vessel. Okay? The Betrayal. Where is Ariane? For 50 years, Dr. Ariane Emery has dominated politics on a Sistine station. Because Emery controls Resume, a city-sized factory that recreates the one item essential to the planet's wealth. Resume produces computerized servants and soldiers. Rebirth. Little Ariane knows that her life is unusual. She knows people around her disappear for no reason, and there are never see again. She knows adults like Justin War fear her. She knows she is under constant surveillance and medical testing. She doesn't know why. Exiler's Gate. Here, after 10 years, is the long-awaited novel about one of CG's most popular heroines, Morgane, closer of the world gates. Morgane, who with her magical sword challenging and her loyal liegeman Vane, travels the world seeking out the gates. Deadly heritage of long-vanished race, which could forever warp past, present, and future unless they are shut down. Convergence. Alpha Station, orbiting the world of alien Ativ, has taken aboard 5,000 human refugees from a destroyed station in a distant sector of space. With supplies and housing stretched to the breaking point, the refugees must be relocated to the planet and soon, but not to be Ativ mainland, rather to territory reserved for humans, the island of Mafia. And our last one, the Fated Sun, Shoner. Sten Duncan had saved the lives of the last two of humanity, deadliest enemies during the takeover of their planet Kurth. Sten's therefore responsible for them and their future, if any. For the thought of the two Mir were her brother and sister. They were represented power castes of the ancient warrior race. Noon was the last of the breed samurai. Mainland through young and was forced the last priestess queen, but struggle and mutual danger had sealed Sten Duncan to their loyalty. Wow. Someone got rid of their entire collection. I don't think there's any more. I think that's all of them. Let me take a second. Okay, now let's go through a little of David Drake. Through the Breach. They hope to claim the wealth and glory of a galaxy at war. The mission is called the Venus Asteroid Expedition, but it has little to do with legitimate trade. Their destination is the Mirror, the impenetrable membrane of another universe, a universe that holds all the riches of the Federation, and their only point of entry is Landorf's Breach. The Far Side of the Stars. While the Republic of Cinnabar is at peace with the Alliance, warriors like Lieutenant Daniel Leary and Signals Officer Adele must find other work, like escorting a pair of wealthy nobles on an expedition to the back of beyond. The Princess Cecil, the corvette in which they carved their reputation in letters of fire, has been sold as a private yacht, but she still has her guns, her missiles, and her veteran crew. What year is this? 2003. The Sea Without a Shore. Cinnabar's chief spymaster is a mother also, and her son determined to search for treasures in the midst of a civil war. Who better to hold the boy's hand and to take the blows directed at him than Captain Daniel Leary, the Republic Cinnabar's naval's troubleshooter, and his friend, the cyber spy Adele Murphy. Starliner. The finest passenger liner in the galaxy, brightest link in the chain that binds the star-flung civilization of the 23rd century. 6,000 lives in a single hull, trembling through multiple universes to land on a raw, often violent worlds, each with its own history and wonder. Death's Bright Day. Captain Daniel Leary and his friend and the spy Siberian Adele Mundy are settling into what they hope to be a quiet, peacetime existence. But in a distant star system, rebellion is brewing, and the powerful people want Daniel and Adele to become involved. The Starbell stars claim that the only way they can prevent a war between the Republic of Cinnabar and its great rival, the Alliance of the Free Stars. The conflict is political, but at the sharp end, it means blazing warfare and cold-blooded murder. Daniel and Adele will be at the sharp end. The final Drake one is a combination, and Daniel's in another box. We will get to him. The collapse of the Galactic Republic plunged Dunwich into an uneasy balance between mud brick civilization and the bloodthirsty barbarian. Dudsburg God is Centium, an ancient supercomputer which maintains stasis by the blood winds barbarians sweeping in from the desert to smother all progress and slaughter. Okay, and our other guy for the day, our final guy for the day is Ringo. John Ringo. After 5 years of battling the Poslan invaders, human civilization is down to a handful of highly industrialized valleys, where survivors create larger and larger engines of war to oppose the hated invaders. Sister Time. Callie O'Neill is officially dead. In over 40 years of being an active secret agent, she hasn't used her real name, much less spoken to her sister. So when Michelle interrupts an important mission by seemingly appearing out of thin air, it's an unexpected reunion. Michelle O'Neill has lived the life of perfect indouty adept, but now she needs the help of her bad sis when the Da'el starts to put the squeeze on the first human mentat. Gust Front. Our choice was simple. We could be cannon fodder or we could be fodder. We could send our forces to fight and die as only humans can against a ravening horde that was literally feeding on its interstellar conquest, or remain as we were, virtually weaponless and third in line for servicing. Ringo and Tom Kratman, Yellow Eyes. Despite being overstretched preparing to defend the U.S., the military sends everything it has left, a handful of advanced armored combat suits, rejuvenated U.S. veterans from the many decades that the Panama was virtually a colony, and 3 antiquated warships. Other than that, the Panamanians are on their own against the swarming alien horde they will have to face. Against the Tide. The world has been a paradise until the fall, when the holders of the control codes for the world-spanning program called Mother fell out in the Civil War. The United Free States fell well defended behind the screen of its elite dragon carriers that held sway in the Atlantis Ocean. But New Destiny proved to have dragon carriers of its own, and more of them. The linchpin of the UFS defense went out the window. Hell's Fair. Fair. With the southern Appalachians surrendered, the only thing standing against the ravening Poseidon hordes and the soft interior of the Cumberland Plateau are the veterans of the 555 Mobile Infantry dropped in Rabu Pass with a couple of million posted behind them and 14 million to the front. The only question is which will run out first, bullets or bodies? Another combo, the Turiad of once innumerable battle plans with Napoleon, a handful survive, that only on the surface of a group of despised Indui and Himit. Plucked from the maelstrom on earth, they are cast out into the eternal blackness of the stars, with only a slight insane indoubt and a computer virus to guide them. Islands of Rage and Hope. With the world consumed by devastating plague that drives humans violently insane, what was once a band of desperate survivors bobbing on a dark Atlantic Ocean has now become Wolf Squadron, the only hope for salvation of the human race. And our final three: to sail a darkening sea, a world cloaked in darkness with human civilization annihilated by a biological zombie plague, a ragtag fleet of yachts and frightened, as known as the Wolf Squadron, scour the Atlantic searching for survivors. Under a graveyard sky. When an airborne zombie plague is released, bringing civilization to a grinding halt, the Smith family, Stephen, Stacy, Sophia, and Faith, activate Zombie Plan Charlie to buy a sailboat and take the Atlantic to avoid the chaos. Final book, Strands of Sorrow. Sophia and Faith have had to grow up fast in a world overrun with mindless, ferocious, infected daughters of the Wolf Squadron leader Steve Smith. They've become zombie hunters of unparalleled skill in their own right, and it is they who may hold the keys to rebirth of civilization on the planet. So that's that. That's our sci-fi for this week. There's more sci-fi to come. There's some James Bond down the road if I decide to do those. And there's some kind of good stuff in this box. Some authors I have never, ever, ever, ever heard of. We'll be getting to those in a couple of weeks. Have a good one.